Where's everybody? Well, early one morning the sun was shining. I was laying in bed, wondering if she changed. All of her hair was still as red. Her folks, they said our lives together sure were gonna be rough. They never did like Mama's homemade dress. Papa's bank book wasn't big enough. When I was standing on the side of the road, rain falling on my shoes, heading for the East Coast, Lord knows I faced some blues getting through. Tangled up in blue. Well, she was married when we first met, soon to be divorced. I helped her out of a jam, I guess, but I used a little too much force. We drove that car as far as we could and then we abandoned it out west. Split up on the docks that night, both agreeing that it was best. Well, she turned around to look at me and I was walking away. I heard her say over my shoulder, we'll meet again someday on the avenue. Tangled up in blue. Well, I had a job in the great North Woods, working for a cook for a spell. But I never did like it all that much, and one day the axe just fell. So I drifted down to New Orleans. I was lucky well to be employed, working for a while in a fishing boat right outside the docks of Delacroix. But all the while I was alone, the past was close behind. I've seen a lot of women, but they never escaped my mind, and I just grew tangled up in blue. Well, she was working in a topless place, and I stopped in for a beer. I just kept looking at the side of her face, and the spotlight was so clear. And later on, the crowd thinned out, and I was just about to do the same. She was standing there at the back of my chair, and she said, "Don't I know your name?" I muttered something underneath my breath. She studied the lines on my face. I must admit I felt a little uneasy when she bent down to tie the laces of my shoes. Tangled up in blue. Well, she lit a burner on the stove and offered me a pie. I thought you'd never say hello. She said, "You look like the silent type." And then she opened up a book of poems and handed it to me, written by an Italian poet from the 13th century. And every one of them words rang true, and it glowed like a burning coal, pouring off of every page like it was written in my soul for me to use. Tangled up in blue. Well, I lived with him on Montague Street in the basement down the stairs. There was music in the cafes at night, a revolution in the air. Then he started to feel and there was space and something inside of him died. She had to sell everything she owned and she froze up inside. And when it finally the bottom out, I became withdrawn. The only thing I knew how to do was to keep on keeping on like a bird that flew. Tangled up in blue. So now I'm going back again. I got to get to her somehow. All the people that we knew to know, they're all illusion to me now. Some are mathematicians, some are carpenters' wives. Don't know how it all got started. I don't know what they're doing with their lives. But me, I'm still on the road, ahead for another joint. Well, we always did feel the same. We just saw it from a different point. of you.